What I'm going to show you today is how you could turn your Google Slides into a template in which you can have your students input information. So here is a template that I created for choice boards, and I'm still in the midst of working on it. Learning menus, hyperdocs, choice boards, editable templates. So you'll see like items like this that I drew in are in the back. It can't be moved, but I gave this the ability for teachers to type in what they need and the ability to type in the tables. Same with the critical thinking bracket. So this is all done by using what we would work with is the back of the slide, and that's the Edit Master. So you can go in and create a digital worksheet using that. And I'm going to tell you the pluses and minuses to that in just a moment. So in here, you'll see that my bracket, I completely drew my bracket in the back, and they have text boxes here in which students can type. So I actually got this idea when I attended a Buck for Institute, PBL Works is what it's called now, on project-based learning. So, these are the components of a successful project-based learning unit. And what you had to do is basically just like a bracket, narrow it down and decide which one you picked over the other one and give it a little description as why you chose one over the other one. And then ultimately had the winner, and the students would put in their information here. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to work with that. Some teachers have been, for example, uploading a digital worksheet picture image here in Google Slides and then having their students, work off of that. So a couple issues with that is sometimes the image becomes construed when you use a background image. Okay, so if we just use the background, and I'm going to just pick math for this example, and I have this math image here, I'm going to upload it here. What happens now is that it tries to fit it within this background, okay? So it's obviously really hard to read. A couple of things you could do to change some of the formatting, and this is that if you go to File, and then you go to Page Setup, and you could flip it from widescreen to custom. And in here, you can make it if your intent eventually is to print this out or to have it be a PDF. You could turn that into a PDF also. You might want to change it to an 8.5 by 11. Otherwise, that you can keep it at the widescreen settings or the standard settings here. It just really depends on what your output is going to be. I'm going to keep it at this setting here. When you're working with your students, it would be advisable for you to show them how to zoom in on this tool here. 200 is a little excessive, maybe at 100, depending on the items that you are using inside here. So let me take that same math worksheet and now let's make it into a interactive slide document. So we're going to go to Slide and we're going to go to Edit Master. First thing is you never want to touch the master one, because once you touch the master one, it's going to touch everything else under that. So we're going to work with the layouts. So let me just show you what that looks like here. Going back over to my learning menus, if I go to Slide and I go to Edit Master, you're going to see the different layouts that I have made for this. So this is all in the background, different layouts, and that's how I choose where I want my template to be and what style editing I'm going to put over it. Like, for example, I inserted a table here. Okay, so let's pick a slide. I'm going to pick the first slide here, and I'm just going to delete all the elements here. Okay, now this time, instead of inserting a background, I'm going to insert the image of this math worksheet, and I could spread this out. This is probably not the best example of a math worksheet because it is a little blurry. However, I can even crop this and spread this out like so for here, okay? So now the other thing that you can do is give the students a spot to work in. So we are going to insert, and this time we're going to do body text placeholder. So if you notice on even typical slides, let me show you what that is. Even if I were to go in and add this slide, this is a body text placeholder, meaning that this is intended for you to put that text in that certain style right there on the document. And yes, you can always go in and insert text boxes and draw them wherever you want. But if you want the attention of the students to input that data under that given spot, you can go ahead and create that. So that is by going again to Slide, Edit Master. And on this slide, instead of going text box, you're going to go to body text box. You're going to go to body text placeholder. And you're just going to go in and draw a couple boxes. Now, here's where you can format the font. So maybe 18 is too big. Maybe you're going to have a 12. Maybe it's going to be bold. Maybe you want your answers to stand out, so when the students type, it's going to be red. So I'm just going to quickly copy and paste a few of these in here just to okay, done. So let me close this out. All right, so here we are. So here's my first slide. You'll see that this slide is now an option. I can keep adding this first slide, and it's going to give text boxes, and they're red for my students to answer. Okay, so that is one way that you can have your students use a Google slide that is a digital worksheet without them deleting or erasing or harming any of the background. In a moment, I'm going to show you how you can make certain items editable in a Google Doc. So let me show you that. So a lot of times in a Google Doc, what people want students to do is answer information. So they'll go in and put name, and then they'll put this underscore down as if it's intuitive for students to input their name. Another thing that someone might do, it might be like, how much is, and then you're going to ask a question, and then you're going to expect your students to type in answers. You're going to ask a series of questions, and you want your students to maybe answer after that. Well, students erase things, things get lost. It's hard to decipher what you typed and what they asked. What you can do, and what I have learned in the past, is that if you use that tabling and just add 2 tables, and I found that this is the easiest format to work with, you can ask your question here, and then have your students respond here. Now, my students got so used to responding in the shaded gray areas that they automatically went there. Can they go up here and delete the answers? Unfortunately, yes, but I found that working with these tables and shading it a different color helped them and guided them into the area in which I was looking for the answers, and also helped me. So when I was looking at these, I just looked directly for the gray. It doesn't have to be gray. Pick blue if that's your favorite color. Those areas there, and it was just a quick way for me to ask students, assess students, and gather answers on what we call a digital worksheet.